All right. Well, tonight's show, I think we're just not going to bother playing the rest of the season, and we're just going to award the Saskatchewan Roughriders the Grey Cup and not bother playing the rest of the season. After all, I don't see the point. They're just destroying the opposition. They came into Toronto and embarrassed the Argonauts. Maybe that's a little strong, but still, it wasn't a proud moment for the Argonauts. And all that Chris Jones could say on the sidelines was, wow. Hey, 3 games into the season. Give me a break. Actually, the games were interesting. Saskatchewan's fired up. You can't take that away from them. Tonight we're going to talk to Belton Johnson. Belton Johnson is an alumni. We had plans to talk to Scott Nicholls, who's a broadcaster, and I think he is one of the owners in Saskatchewan of the Roughriders. We'll see if Scott gets to his phone and gives us a call. And if you'd like to give us a call, you can do that at 714-242-5250. That's 714-242-5250. You're listening to Candid Frank live on Rouge Radio. I guess, again, I'll say this, and that is that Edmonton Eskimos, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they've recovered. They've done a great job on recovering, enough so the Ticats are tied for first in the East. Of course, as I said before, they're also tied for last. So, it isn't exactly a great start to the season, but it's not so bad. The great thing about the CFL isn't about how you start, it's how you finish. So, like the long-distance run, looks good when you're the leader halfway through, but it's the one that cuts the tape at the end of the run that takes home all the glory. So this year's glory is a long ways away. We're only 3 games into the season. And in those 3 games, as I said, the Saskatchewan Roughriders looked really good. Well, we could go around we'll go the West first. BC, great team. They look solid. Calgary looks pretty good too. We talked about Saskatchewan, and we said that Edmonton, they're in tough with the 3 other teams in their division, just as are, I believe, all things being equal, if the Argos can become the kind of team they should become. And I base it not just on being a fan of the Argonauts. I base it on the fact that Chris Jones is one of those guys that loves teaching young players with not much experience, at the very least, on the same team. And it takes a few games for his system to be understood by the players. But many believe that system, once it's understood, can be really tough to play against. That will be put to the test around the midpoint of the season. The offense for the Argonauts, the guys that should be playing well, Chad Owens is. Chad's having a tough time, but then again, they're keying on him. They know what he's going to do. He came in last year, much like a pitcher. If you want to get to a good pitcher, you got to get to him early. Once he settles in, the defense in the CFL is the same way. Once the defense settles in, you really have to have some tricks up your sleeve, and you can't be a one-trick pony. So right now, the Argos look okay. The Alouettes look okay. The Ticats look okay. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers look okay. But if there's a team in the East that really is doing well, at least on one side of the ball, it has to be Winnipeg and their defense. They are coming out of the gate defensively on fire. They've been tough to play against, and it might very well be that Winnipeg is that good that they made Montreal look not so good. That will only become important later on in the season. Now, in a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, we're going to start talking about the CIS. We're going to ease into the CIS. Things start to heat up in CIS football. in August. And as you can very well tell by the temperature outside, August is on the horizon. As you know, August rolls in, you get those 100-degree days, and then next thing you know, it's 22 degrees Fahrenheit, or in Celsius, like 4. That's going to happen soon. So enjoy the heat. I know I have. Well, the Toronto Argonauts are right now in flux, if you will, as we talked about earlier. They played the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I have to tell you, the fun part about Saskatchewan coming into town, as much as it is fun to watch the team and how well they play, the other thing that is important and I enjoy, that is the fans of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We had fun with them, and as we do, the Argo Lifers, we have our 2 big drums, and we happen to be literally on one side of the aisle in 134B, and I guess 134A is where all the family and the guests of the CFL visiting team, which this past week, they were the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They had a great night. The crowd was a bit disappointing at the Sky Dome. I think that's normal for a Thursday night. Not a great night to go out to a football game, especially with the Molson Indy taking place the very next day. So it was interesting. So why don't we get to the real subject today, and that is the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They will be hosting the 101st Grey Cup, and we're going to talk to Belton, and we'll give him a call right now. Now, I'm hoping that Scott Nicholls, Scott, if you're listening, give us a call. Right now I'll give Belton a call. Hey, Belton, how's it going?
All right, how about yourself?
Not bad. Okay, now let me talk about you a little bit for the folks at home who are listening in. And you're either 6'5" or 6'6" when you were playing. 295. You came from Old Miss. You played 10 years as a pro. You played in 4 CFL cities, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, Hamilton, Winnipeg, I think. Trying to remember. Saskatchewan.
Edmonton.
That's right. That's the. You came in with Edmonton, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I came in with pretty much. Well, I kind of came in with BC, but didn't stay that long. Then it was Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Hamilton, and just finished last season with Edmonton.
Now, we could talk about football, Saskatchewan. We could talk about the Grey Cup. We could talk about the alumni and what you're doing with it. But let's really talk about some important stuff. Your barbecue. I mean, let's set everything else aside and let's just talk about that barbecue.
Hey, that's a famous barbecue, man. What can I say? I bring the South up north. So
when someone says to me that Belton Johnson was a big lineman in the CFL and he could really turn up the heat, I didn't realize they meant the barbecue, the grill.
Hey, I did. I turned the heat up on the field as well.
I bet you could, my friend. Okay, so just for fun, I guess let's start with something simple like the barbecue. Like, you really do love your barbecue, and I have to tell you, it's a male thing, and I have the same disease. I love my barbecue. My wife keeps wanting to get near the barbecue, and I shoo her away. And hey, that's my turf. Get away from that. And, so, what's your favorite thing to put on the queue?
Oh man, we do everything around here. I honestly don't think I have a favorite thing, because I grill anything from pineapple to deer sausage. So you name it, I go from the lowest to the highest of extremes with it. But mostly I guess chicken and steaks and stuff like that. But I'll put anything on the grill. Somebody asked me, "Oh, can you cook soup on the grill?" Yes, I can, because I'll grill the veggies. I'll get a pot of water. I can put it on the grill, and so I've grilled the soup before. So
now, yeah. Well, okay. So now you come from Mississippi. What kind of food? You said you bring up the Mississippi food here to Canada, all the way up to Saskatchewan, Regina. What are the kind of typical foods that you make on a barbecue? Being a Mississippi guy.
Oh man, we from Mississippi. I mean, deer steaks, usually hamburgers, chicken wings. Even like I've grilled catfish in the past. Catfish is a big Mississippi product, and to get it up here in Saskatchewan and probably anywhere in Canada, it costs a lot of money to have it up here. And it's so cheap in Mississippi. I could go in my pond at home and catch 3-4 catfish and pop them on the grill. So.
There you go. Now, what have you found in Saskatchewan? Because you're right. My parents they go to Italy and they buy fish in Italy, but some fish in Italy is even more expensive than here, but some is cheaper there than is here. What is something that's that you're able to have here that you don't normally get in Mississippi, or it's a little expensive, like you were talking about the catfish down south?
Man, here what you got bassa. I think that's a big fish around here for some reason, because I'd really never heard of it until I got up here. And then what other fish? You got tilapia, a lot of salmon and stuff. My wife, she's always buying salmon up here. We buy the whole fish or whatever and have steaks and things made up from it, and we'll throw those on the grill from time to time. But honest, you name it, I'm gonna put it on there.
Now, here's an important question. I want you to be very careful how you answer this, because you never know who's listening. Which deer is more tender, Mississippi deer or Saskatchewan deer?
Which one is more tender?
Yeah,
I would think they're both about the same.
Oh, you are a smart cookie, aren't you? All right, enough about food, because I'm getting fat just thinking about it, and I want to go out to the barbecue right now. I think I'm going to stop the show and go out and grill me something. No, let's talk now. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I got a couple of Thai cat. My boys, they coming in town. I think I'm going to throw something on the grill for them guys. And, last year they came. I think I was on a bye week in Edmonton, and I think Hamilton played Saskatchewan, and my wife and I cooked up something for the guys when they came into town. So it'll probably be the same group, come over, get a good meal, and make the best man win come Sunday, I guess.
I hear that. Now you got an old friend. Well, I won't call him an old friend, but you have somebody, Ken Austin, big boss now of the Ticats, coming back to Saskatchewan, where he had a lot of success, and he has a very long history, and I'm sure he has a lot of fans there. How interesting is that going to be, having him come back to Saskatchewan?
I think it's going to be great. I think somebody asked that question, and some people were going to say that, the fans are going to boo, but I personally think he'll get a standing ovation in the game, because, he brought the Grey Cup back to Saskatchewan, 07, and, he left out, when he left Saskatchewan, he left at the top, so I think he'll get a big standing ovation from the fans.
Well, Saskatchewan fans are, they are very emotional. They're emotional fans. They're very intense.
I know they are, because I wore my Cat shirt today to work. I work at SGI, Saskatchewan Government Insurance, and I wanted to show a little Cat pride, and I got a bunch of funny looks, and they were like, "What are you doing?" So,
what's wrong with you?
What they were saying.
They love their team. That Saskatchewan loves their team. I always joke that it's the only CFL town with the stadium where combines actually park at the stadium.
You sound like Marwa.
I got to tell you, they are great fans. Can we take a step backwards now and talk about Belton and your history. Mississippi, you were. How did you get into football, and what first attracted you to the game itself?
Oh man, I think my brother and I, we started collecting football cards at a very young age, and I don't know, maybe we just started watching the TV, seeing the NFL, and that led to more card collecting, and next thing get a group of kids outside, just playing a little backyard football, and then you had your Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners and family, football games and things like that, and it just kind of grew on us. And our side, both of them, my brother and I, my brother may be a tad bit bigger than I am, and but our size, we just kept growing. We kept outgrowing everybody, and I guess that made a good offensive lineman, bigger guys, and I mean we were pretty athletic, I think, and it just kind of kept growing from there. And then high school had a coach, he saw how big we were, and he was a big Ole Miss fan at the time there, and he tried to steer us towards Ole Miss, and next thing you know, we end up going to Ole Miss. I walked on there and earned my scholarship, and they signed my brother right out of high school. He was on scholarship right away, and it just grew from there, man. And after college, you're not thinking about the pro. At least I wasn't. I've never thought about the pros probably until my senior year when I got a little recognition and stuff, and that's the next step, playing in the NFL. And the NFL lasted with the Bengals for 3 years, and got injured and got a phone call to come up to the CFL. I didn't really know what the CFL was at that time, and tried to do a little homework. As I always say, if you don't know something, just Google it. So
there you go.
Googled CFL, found out what it was, and just kind of went from there.
Yeah, your brother Marcus. Tell us a little bit about him. Younger Marshall, sorry, and
no, Marcus. It's Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus, a little younger than you, right?
Yeah, we're about a year and a half apart.
What was that like? How competitive were you with him? Because being that close to age, I'm sure that helped your ability later on down the road to play the game so well.
I mean, we're peas in a pod, man. It was, my mom, if she bought me something, she had to buy him something, and vice versa. So, and I do remember times growing up. We lived out in the country, and she worked 12 hours a day. So, times when we were at home when she was at work, we could hear the car coming, just in the country, and you could hear things when stuff is coming to the house, and we would be in the house wrestling, and we hear the car coming. We try to straighten the house up, and she would always walk in and find something broke. What have y'all been doing? So we used to wrestle all the time, man. So we're both very competitive, and we still are to this day. Playing video games or playing basketball or just throwing the football around, we're still competitive versus each other.
Women don't play football, but I bet you there wasn't a tougher person than your mother. Single mothers do a great job. The challenge that they're up against. You must be very proud looking back at your mother and how she took care of you and your brother.
I mean, she did a hell of a job, and I think only until you get older, you kind of, just kind of reflect a little bit and wonder how she did things, and I guess just because what other people, fans and things, they see that and be like, wow, how did she, feed you guys? Look how big y'all are.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, my brother and I, we probably drank at least a gallon, probably 2 gallons of milk a week. Like, we went through milk like water, and but she, I mean, like what's that saying? Where there's a will, there's a way, and she always found a way, and she's the rock, man, and she deserves everything she gets, and she did a great job. Even me and my brother, we always tell her, on Father's Day, we say Happy Father's Day to her.
Well, she was both parents, wasn't she? For the most part.
And Coach Cutcliffe, he was my head coach at Ole Miss, and I was on scholarship, and once my brother, came to Ole Miss, he told my mom, Miss Glenda, you ain't never got to worry about feeding these boys again. Ole Miss gonna feed them for you. So.
Yeah, football in the United States is. If this is not comfortable to talk about, I'll back off a little bit. But I always am amazed about how football has been for many an opportunity to have a better life, where maybe a better life may not have happened for someone if it wasn't for football. Is that the case for you and or your brother?
I mean, for me, my mom, she was an educated woman. She went to college, got her degree, and she was, whether we played sports or not, she didn't want us playing football. She was afraid we would get hurt or something, but we were gonna go to school regardless. It didn't matter if it was football or not. She was gonna find a way for us to go to school. But with football, it helped her because we both were on scholarship, so she didn't have to pay a dime out of her pocket ever, to pay for us to go to school and get an education. And we both got our degrees, graduated on time, and so in that sense, that scholarship, man, I tell my son to this day, I tell him he better get a scholarship.
So you actually learned something in school. Some people suggest that maybe football players don't. You believe that the only ones they talk about are the ones that don't work out, more or less, more do take advantage of the education afforded them because they're good football players?
I mean, like I said, my mom, trust me, when there was bad grades brought in the house, she brought the thunder and lightning down. So you don't want to deal with her when she's angry. So you best do what she say do, make the grade. I do remember one year my brother, I think he failed 5th or 6th grade. That was the last time he ever failed at anything. And from then, because she made his summer miserable. And he's never failed. He's been an A student ever since then. AB student ever since 6th grade, I believe.
Yeah, congratulations have to go to your mother and your brother because, it's very easy to be able to be successful, but the real challenge for any human being is how they react to failure. And it's a good character builder, right?
It is, very good.
All right, so you move on, you end up going to college football. You've got your opportunity for an education, and the degree is on the horizon, and you go to the NFL. Tell us about the experience for the few years that you were in the NFL. Was it everything you expected?
Man, it was a great time in the NFL, and I think it kind of grows you up quickly, because especially like if you want to in that first, I say the first 2 rounds nowadays. If you're third and lower free agent like myself, they look at you like you're nothing, You're really, it's only the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft that those guys they're pretty much guaranteed, unless they just absolutely screw up. But if you're a free agent like myself, I had to work my rear end off. I was at every OTA, every spring, workout session. I couldn't afford to miss anything, whereas, the first, second round pick guys, they kind of slacked up a little bit, didn't come to things, but, their job was secure. Mine wasn't. And the Bengals, they had me, running first, second, and third string. I was playing right tackle and left tackle at that time, and just trying to prove myself, and I ended up getting hurt. I believe my second year I tore my quad tendon, and I'm pretty sure I was gonna get some playing time, but the injury was kind of a setback for me. But like you said, those failures you kind of learn, and it makes you stronger and stuff. And once I got hurt, I knew, in the NFL, it's a small percentage of guys that play in at the pro level, period, CFL, NFL. I think the stats 1% of the total population or something, or maybe less than 1% that plays pro football, and so for me to be in that number, I thought it was great, and got hurt, bounced back, rehab pretty good, but you got younger guys coming. You got guys coming out every day from college. Every year it's a new crop comes in, so to speak. And so, when I got hurt, they see that as a sign of, maybe he's injury prone or something, And so I got cut again that third year, I believe, and I thought football was done and over with. I'm not gonna lie to you. I could tell you. When I went home, I was depressed. Kind of locked myself up in the room and shedded a few tears because I couldn't believe what was happening. And you play football for so long, you're not sure what the next step is. You're so sure of everything because you've always been a starter in college and been kind of on the top of things, and then kind of to get the door slammed shut in your face, it hurts. And I didn't know what the next step was. And again, my agent, he suggested, hey, maybe we go CFL, and so we went that route, and I enjoyed every bit of playing in the CFL.
So you end up in a situation where you physically, your body fails you, if you will, and now your NFL career is well. That you were mentioning about first round, the numbers. Maybe I should help that point be made. You figure there's about 10, 12 rounds in football.
Well,
and
it's 7 rounds. 7 rounds in the NFL.
But you figure those 7 rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of those players actually end up playing in the NFL? And a lot of them are first-rounders that don't play very long either. There's no guarantee just because you're a first-rounder that you're going to play, on one hand. And on the other hand, it's really amazing that a seventh-round player actually makes the league. And by your description, it is as difficult as anything to be a 7th rounder and survive and play in the league, because you're really fighting an uphill battle, aren't you?
Yes, you are. Look at who is it? Marquise Colston. I believe he was a 6th rounder. I know he was a low pick for the Saints, and look at him. He's a Pro Bowler, and he's probably the heart of that team and that receiving corps for the Saints.
All right. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and talk about the CFL. You're listening to Candid Frank live on Rouge Radio. We're talking to Belton, and Belton is one of my favorite people on Facebook because I love his pictures. The Johnson Barbecue, it is famous, world famous. And one day you're going to have to ship me something you make.
Oh, man, I don't know if it'll make it out of here, man.
I really don't think it'll make it into a package either. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back after this.
I am Rider Pride,
the flag bearers of our league,
the spirit of our game.
I will deafen all foes. I will represent my team,
my province,
and my fellow fans with honor and pride.
And inspire the next generation
of the Rider Nation.
Green is my color.
Football is my game.
This is my pledge.
This is my pledge.
This is my pledge.
Hey, Belton, how's it going?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
I'm good. So I just thought I'd play some Rider stuff. Okay, I've got to say that I've had an excellent opportunity to get close to CFL, the CFL management, CFL coaches, CFL GMs, CFL alumni players, CFL players that are playing now, Canadian CFL players, American CFL players. Why is it that CFL players are such nice men? What is it about them, American and Canadian alike?
Oh, man, that's a different question. I don't know.
You guys are approachable. Is it because you guys don't get extra rich playing the game? You appreciate, that you're in the same class as the fans, maybe? I don't know.
No, that very well could be, but at the same time, I don't know. I know my brother, he was a second-round pick, and his personality and my personality it's pretty much dead on. And I've seen my brother in Minnesota, go up to fans and speak to them and pretty much do the same things that I've done and stuff. And so maybe it's just, it's certain guys, some guys are approachable, some aren't.
Okay. So now you come to I'm just curious about that. Anyway, the CFL, there it was, an opportunity to play football. Was it, how much was it an opportunity to play football and an opportunity to make money? Where was it in your mind? How important was it to play, and how important was it to make a living? Was it equal, or you just loved to play?
Well, for me, I think it was. I wanted to play, man. Because sitting out that a few months, it drove me crazy because I knew I had more to offer, and so for me personally, I think it was more to play because let's be real, for me to come up here, I think it started off $50,000, so a year in Canadian, so if you do the conversion and take out the taxes, you're not looking at a whole lot of money. And but as the years went on, yes, I was able to make up the six figures, playing in the CFL.
Now, because it for football players that come to Canada, you see, you basically said it, and that is that yes, you want to make a living, but it's the lure also of playing the game, and when you come here. It's not the same game. What was your first reaction to the wider, longer field, the guys in motion? How did you deal with that at the beginning?
At the beginning, I'm gonna tell you what got me. It was the kicking game. I felt, honest to God, I felt my first year up here. It seemed like it was something different in the kicking game every time. I didn't. Whether the punter punched the ball and could run and recover it, I was like, what is, I never could understand that. It took a couple of years for me to kind of grasp that. And, the kicking game up here is pretty different, too, than, down south. But, as far as the offensive lineman, I hated the wider field because it meant more running for me. And 3 downs, that was pretty, it's pretty quick turnaround, down south you got 4 downs, so you got 3 attempts to, get that first down. Here, you only got 2 shots to get it, and, if it's, second and long, you pretty much, everybody know you're passing it pretty much,
All right, so you're here in the CFL. You arrive. What's it like playing in a strange country, in a different country?
The stadium sizes, I think. that was strange to me because, you know, in the South, football is huge. It's like a religion in the South, you know, football. And Ole Miss, my stadium back in college, I know it held a good 60, about 60,000, 62,000 fans. And they just increased it some more. You know, it's probably going to be up to 70 pretty soon here. And so for me to play in a stadium, I think at the time, most stadiums are probably averaging I bet about 30,000. But even in Toronto, I mean, the stadium's 60,000. But what you get, 18,000 if that, you know, at the games and stuff in Toronto. And, you know, even BC plays, I think, you know, they have a pretty good-sized stadium. But, you know, it's not averaging no 60,000. So I thought that was strange, you know, but, you know, one of the loudest stadiums I've been in is, you know, has been the Ryder Stadium. And, you know, that 30,000 can sound about like 80,000.
Well, I hear that Winnipeg may be rivaling Saskatchewan now with their new stadium, at least because of the excitement of the new stadium and everybody wanting to experience it. That might be part of the reason. Now, so now you play. Tell us about the cities you played in. You said you had a cup of coffee in British Columbia at BC. How was that?
You know, BC was depressing. It was, rained all the time. And, you know, it was my first year in the CFL. And, you know, I was, 2-3 time zones away from my family back in Mississippi. I think, how was it? I think when we played a game at 7 o'clock, maybe it was 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, you know, I think, 9 Central. Or 10 Eastern, rather, and so I play a game and, you know, get done playing the game, want to call my family and stuff, and, you know, calling them, and it's like 2-3 in the morning, whereas, you know, 10 p.m. out there, and, you know, they want to call me at like 9, 7 o'clock in the morning because they know I'm an early riser, but, you know, I'm sleep is like, 4 or 5 a.m. out there. So
there you go.
No, that was difficult for me because I'm so close to my family and used to talking to them all the time. So that was a bit of a strain, especially in training camp when training camp is I just shut the doors and kind of concentrate. But you know, I was in a foreign country. I really didn't know much about Canada, and you know. My mom is, you know, she's my support system, my brother, and so I've always, you know, wanted to talk to him on a daily basis, but it was always hard because of practice times and game times and stuff like that. So BC, that was a little pit stop, but don't get me wrong, I have always liked playing out there when I was with Hamilton and Edmonton and Sask going out there to play because, you know, once you get to go to a city, you get to kind of check out the city and, you know, walk around and mix with the locals and, you know, try different foods and things like that. So I've always loved traveling and stuff.
And it's a beautiful place.
It's beautiful out there. Like, the weather's, now that I know I said it rained and stuff a lot, but it's better than winter times in Sask.
You don't have to you don't have to shovel water.
No, you don't.
Trust me, I would rather it be wet than it be solid. Here in Toronto, it's the same thing. You know, like when it snows, shoveling's not fun. That's for sure. So you go to BC, the experience of being there, you know, we don't understand as fans, we don't understand how personal, a life you guys have. We almost think of you, and it's not fair sometimes, we think of you as almost machines or robots, and we don't understand that you have a life and a life that you want to enjoy, right? So it wasn't
yeah.
enjoyable being in a different time zone. That was tough for you. The
That
city
was
was a
tough,
beautiful city.
No, it was beautiful, but yeah, it was tough. And I asked Wally to to release me, let me go, and he granted me my wish, and then that football itch was still there, and I believe it was a few months later, got a call from my agent called me and said Winnipeg wanted to try me out, and I'm like, Winnipeg, where is that at? So I had to, break out Google map and everything. And I looked on the map, I saw exactly where Winnipeg was at. It was right above Minnesota. I'm like, oh, man. So I started Googling how far, Minneapolis was from Winnipeg. I think it was like a 4-hour drive or something, according to Google, I think. And I was like, oh, man, worst case, if I get bored or something, I could just drive down and visit my brother, and at least I'm in the same time zone now. So that was huge. So I said, yeah, let's go up there and get a shot, and went to Winnipeg. And, I know a lot of fans, especially here, they think Winnipeg is a trashy city, but I thought Winnipeg was okay, when I was there and stuff, and it's a pretty nice city, and what seemed like it was around, I know it was in 2006, but it must have been in August, maybe October. I think Eric Tillman had signed as the Riders' new GM, and Taman, I started in one game in Winnipeg, and I think Goodspeed was hurt or something, and got to start one game, and it was against the BC Lions, and so I think it was, Tillman got the job in Sask in October, and I guess Taman got a phone call from Tillman, trying to cut a deal, and he's like, hey, have you ever heard of Eric Tillman? And I said, yeah, I think the name sounds familiar, because I felt like I had heard that name at Ole Miss, and Tillman and I talked on the phone, and lo and behold, he was an Ole Miss graduate, and I was like, oh, I knew that name sounded familiar. I heard it, at Ole Miss somewhere, Eric Tillman, and and at the time, Jason Armstead was in Saskatchewan too, and Armstead and I were teammates back at Ole Miss, and Tillman, he asked, he's like, hey, Belton, would you like to come out, play for the Riders? And I was like, okay, where's Saskatchewan? And I had to pull out a map.
Google again.
Yeah, I did, man. And like, oh, it's right next door, and I saw it was only a few hours away, so I was like, well, that can't be too bad. And like I said, I knew Armstead was on the team, so I knew somebody, and we were pretty good friends in college and stuff, we were teammates, and so I was like, yeah, and plus him playing, Tillman was an Ole Miss guy, and he told me that he was trying to inject youth into the O-line, because at that time, they had the line creeping up there in age, so he was just trying to inject some youth into it, and so I said, yeah, I'll come over there, and they brought me over, and I fell in love with Sass right away,
And I guess you were there for a while. You got to know it. You loved it a lot, and then you ended up going to Hamilton. How disappointing was it leaving Saskatchewan?
It was, when Tillman had got fired, and I kind of figured my time was, how can I say it? My clock was ticking. I knew I had a target on my back, because he and I were pretty close, and And when a organization brings in a new GM and things, they're gonna go hire different coaches, and they hired Doug Berry, who I've never seen eye to eye. Matter of fact, I don't think any Rider fans like Doug Berry now as it is. So, but I just never had a good feeling about him. And there's a few guys on that team, we didn't like Doug Berry coming in and stuff, but they released me, and I never could understand why, but I think Hamilton, I think it was 09, maybe 09 or 2010, yeah.
10, yep.
I think Hamilton, they started the season off 0-4, I think. And I think one game the tackle gave up like 2-3 sacks to Kevin Hunt. He used to play for Winnipeg. And got a phone call, Belton, we need you, because Mike Gibson, he was I believe he was the offensive. No, maybe he wasn't the coordinator. Maybe he was the running backs coach. I think, he was the running back coach for the Ticats. And, here in Sask, he was my O-line coach. I respect Coach Gibson big time, and, I appreciate him for, putting that bug in the bell phase there to bring me out there, because when I got out there, I think we had turned that thing around. I think we ended up by mid-season, I think we were 4-4 or 5-4 by the time the break had hit, and I got to start a few games. Well, I did start. I was the starter as soon as I signed out there and stuff. And man, I love Hamilton. That's an amazing city. That whole area, Ontario. You got Hamilton that's right in the middle. You got Toronto right there. You got the U.S. right there. So to me, Hamilton could be. It's up there as one of the top cities to play ball in, because you got so much around, and the U.S. border is right there. So for me to, I could drive down to Buffalo, New York, catch a cheap flight home for like $250 or something like that, and I could also fly my family up and just drive them across the border. And I mean, I love Hamilton, man. Great shopping. My wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she loved it out there. She just shopping, and we said we actually debated about moving out there once I had got done with football and stuff too. It's a great area. I love Hamilton.
Yeah, it's Southern Ontario is a pretty big area. So so it's not like Saskatchewan or Manitoba. It's more a more American style big city, and it's actually bigger than a lot of cities in the U.S.
I was gonna say, those three areas, Hamilton, Toronto, and probably that St. Catherine, that's got to be about 7 million or maybe 5 million people or something.
It's about 8 million people in the Southern Ontario market.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the fourth largest. Toronto's the fourth largest metropolitan area in North America. It only falls behind New York, Chicago, and maybe LA. Yeah, I think those are the three that are bigger than Toronto. So now you've had a chance to see the big city in Canada. You now decide. Once your career's over, you decide to live your life in Saskatchewan. So tell us a little bit about your life in Saskatchewan. You were saying you're working for Saskatchewan Insurance?
Yeah, SGI, Saskatchewan Government Insurance. And, living here is great. It's, I got to tell you, the Hamilton and Sask are probably my two favorite cities in Canada. By far. And but living here is great because, in the States, well, first of all, I started working with SGI probably 3 years ago, and I knew that I was going to retire within 2 years. I just didn't know when, but I kind of circled 2 years, to be done, because I promised my wife, once we got married, had kids, that, I would be done with football, and I wanted to keep my promise to her. And when I got on at SGI, I only worked from January till May because of football, training and then training camp and all that stuff. And I think my second year when I was there, they tried to hire me permanently every year that I was there, but because of me playing football and, that just didn't bode well with them, because if I got hurt, playing football, I would be a liability or something for them. So, I told them, just give me 2 years. I promise, 2 years, you guys hire me permanently, I'm done. I can walk away with my head held high, won a Grey Cup ring, I'll be happy. And sure enough, I went back this year, and and January, I think, 1st, they brought me in and they hired me permanently right off the bat. That doesn't happen to a whole lot of people. It could be years before, somebody could be hired permanently at SGI. I know some people have been working there 5-6 years and they're still not permanent. And being permanent means, I get the full benefits. I get everything. So pension, the whole works, and that's great. And, I've made a lot of connections working at SGI, and hope that I keep moving up the ladder, which I know I am. And just, it's great to be here. And I actually had an offer to come back to play football this year, and I turned it down. I turned it down. They called me in March to come play.
And I turned it down. Saskatchewan or another team?
It was Hamilton.
Oh, Hamilton.
Yeah,
wow.
And trust me, I looked at my wife. I'm like, "Are you sure?" And but like I said, I made a promise, and I'm good with my promise. I'm a happy man, and my mom always told me, a happy wife equals a happy life, and I like being happy.
That's right. You don't want to tug on that rope too hard, huh?
No, you don't.
Not too hard. Well, Belton, we're going to take another break, and I'm hoping to have Scott Nicholls join us. He's another Saskatchewan guy. He's a media guy. I don't know if you've ever talked to him or if you know who he is.
What is Saskatoon, right?
Right.
Out of Saskatoon, yeah.
You've probably been on the radio with him, because I know you're a busy guy on the radio.
Oh yeah, I'm doing a little things with Rawco, so.
Yeah, we're gonna talk. Let's move on, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about, being a Rough Rider and what it's like in Saskatchewan right now, knowing that the Grey Cup is going to be played there. And we'll get back, and we're going to talk about the excitement that's already generating with a 3-0 team. We'll talk about the team as it's doing this year. Your Hamilton Tiger Cats are coming into town, and we'll get to that after this break. How's that?
Sounds great to me.
You're listening to Candid Frank Live, streaming on Rouge Radio. We're the Argos cheerleaders.
It is a first down for Ottawa. The football at the 24 of Saskatchewan. Clements coming back to throw again. Looking, gets all kinds of protection. Throws into the end zone for Gabriel. Touchdown!
In 1898, the Ottawa Football Club adopted the red and black of the Canadians that fought with Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders in the Spanish-American War. They also adopted the name. Et c'est à partir de ces débuts modestes que le Rouge et Noir a été associé à la ville d'Ottawa. The Carleton Ravens, Ottawa Fury FC, Ottawa 67s, and the Ottawa Senators have all adopted the colors and built their own history and traditions. Mais le Rouge et Noir se retrouve d'abord sur les chandails des équipes d'Ottawa dans la LCF. Les couleurs de Ross Jackson et de Tony Gabriel. to all who have worn the red and black, à tous ceux qui ont porté le rouge et noir, who have battled on the gridiron on behalf of our great city, et qui se sont battus sur le terrain au nom de notre belle ville. We honor your tradition. Nous préservons votre tradition as we begin to forge our own, et nous commençons à forger la nôtre. Like the blades that cut timber in the upper Ottawa Valley, and the men who rode them down the Ottawa River past the locks of Bytown, we are balanced, dangerous, unstoppable. Nous sommes les Rouges et Noirs d'Ottawa. We are the Ottawa Red Blacks.
All right, so there's my little bit of fun. The Red Blacks. How do you like that name, by the way?
Man, what is it?
Well, you know what, Belton, that's an unfair question to you because it has, what people don't understand is it has a lot of meaning in Ottawa. It has a lot of meaning in Canada. And believe it or not, Belton, it has a connection to Teddy Roosevelt, an American. We helped you fight I think it was the Spanish back in the day, many years ago. And you remember the Rough Riders, the Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders? That's where the Rough Riders came from with Ottawa. Now, I don't know where the Rough Riders came from in Saskatchewan, but that's a little bit of history.
I got you. Well, I'm going to have to Google that too then and look
There you
Red
go.
Black.
There you go. Okay, we're gonna bring in another friend, Scott Nicholls, who I have followed through the years, who's a Saskatchewan guy, and we're going to talk about Saskatchewan and how they are doing this year. Scott, are you there?
You bet, I'm here.
Hey, Scott, how you doing? Scott Nicholls.
I'm doing.
Belton?
Hey,
we've talked. Hey, man, we've talked on Facebook. We've talked on Twitter. Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir. Likewise.
Belton and I have been discussing his career and pretty. I hope that doesn't make him sound unspecial. And Belton, if I don't mean to offend, but you've lived the basic life that a lot of American young football players have lived. They've come to Canada. They have found an opportunity to basically take up residence here, and started a life here, and then also post career life. Scott, what's that from a reporter's perspective? Is that as normal as it seems to me?
You wouldn't think, but I mean, like a place like Regina in Saskatchewan, where everything is like the Rough Riders in Saskatchewan are everything. There is no other professional sports league, right? So The community welcomes that player with complete open arms, especially a player who stays year round. And so guys like Belton come here and they have an education and they have an opportunity. And Belton, you've told me directly that the economy in Saskatchewan is very tempting to stay there. It affords you a great opportunity to make a decent living.
Yes, it does. It's booming right now. And, me being from Mississippi, it's probably the poorest state in the union, and trust me, it's not a whole lot of jobs in the States, with the recession and things like that going on.
So it's a great opportunity to have an opportunity to be here in Canada, and because you played here, it makes it easier to, I guess, become a landed immigrant. Does it make it easier? Do you have, I don't want to say an advantage in a negative way, but does it afford you an opportunity that maybe you wouldn't otherwise have?
Yeah, I think so because, again, I'm married also. My wife is born and raised here. We have a son. He's born here. But I wouldn't say it's an easy process. I think the government treats everybody the same. So.
There you go.
But as far as job opportunities and things like that, look at Wes Case. He's in the oil field. My buddy Luke Mullender, another former rider, he's into investments and things like that. And Ty Stewart, a lot of the guys are turning to the oil field. Lance Frazier, he's in the oil field. And so, yeah, it's booming big time around here instead of growing.
Okay, so now, Scott, from a reporter's perspective, how important and how exciting is it, and how much are you looking forward to the Grey Cup coming to Regina?
Well, as we just heard today, the news came out that the game is actually sold out officially today. So all 45,000 tickets are sold, and it's because Saskatchewan is a real big hotbed of football, fanatics. I mean, we always get we kind of get tarred with the over fanatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to have the simple fact that the Grey Cup is coming back to Saskatchewan for the first time in quite a few years is kind of a big deal for us. And, we kind of feel like Rider fans, especially kind of feel like we are, rightly or wrongly, we're the biggest fans in the league.
Well, that goes without saying, and I'll say it in the most respectful way. We hate you guys here in Toronto. And I mean that in the most respectful way. The game this past week that was played here in Toronto, there were a lot of Saskatchewan fans, and it was a Thursday night. I mean, and it's no surprise to me how dedicated your fans are. They're going to be going for an exhibition game. I guarantee you, and I really believe this, that Edmonton is having an exhibition game. We talked briefly about it, Scott, in Fort McMurray, which is like north of north, you know what I mean, in Alberta. And they built a new stadium, and they're going to have an exhibition game there. And what team did Edmonton want? Not Calgary. They wanted Saskatchewan, and I believe, and I don't think it's that intelligent a thought on my part, they know they'll have the most success if they play against Saskatchewan, because I don't think there's a fan that's more mobile in sports than a Saskatchewan fan.
Well, I think part of it, too, is because Saskatchewan was such a have-not province for so many years, and people emigrated from Saskatchewan to other provinces to find work. And so, the old saying goes, you can take the boy out of Saskatchewan, but you can't take the Saskatchewan out of the boy. So that's why I think the Rider fan base is so huge from coast to coast. And I think, were the Riders to play, in the Atlantic, if they were to play the exhibition game out there or play a regular season game out there, they would draw a huge crowd. It's just simply because there's so many expats from Saskatchewan that are across the whole country that, the Rider fans, they say Rider Nation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that it's not a surprise to me that there are a lot of fans everywhere. And we assume that a lot of those fans, I guess you've educated me, because I assume that a lot of those fans that were at the Rogers Centre on last Thursday, for the game that Saskatchewan won against the Argos, were from out of town. But in fact, what I'm gleaning from what you're saying is they probably, most of them, live in Toronto and just cheer for their Saskatchewan team. Is that a clear understanding for me? Am I understanding appropriately?
I would guess, that would be a pretty significant, that would be a pretty accurate, I should say, representation. Because I remember I was in Toronto about 6 or 7 years ago on a business trip. And I just popped outside for a few seconds, and it was game day, so I was wearing my Rider jersey, of course, because, in Saskatchewan you have to wear your Rider jersey. And I was just popped outside. I just popped outside, and they said there was a guy driving by. He hung out his window. He was like, "Yeah, Saskatchewan, baby!" And it was just the weirdest thing. Even when my wife and I, a couple of years ago, we were down in Florida. And I was wearing my Rider jersey in Universal Studios. And I couldn't tell you how many times people said, "Yeah, Riders, baby. Yeah, Riders." Just because I was wearing my jersey. It was the weirdest thing.
Did they need to pull out watermelons to put on their head, that we carry in their bags? Hey, Belton, were you listening? Were you listening to what was just said right now? So you won't be wearing your Hamilton uniform again at work.
I don't know. I like stirring the pot up, so I might be wearing another tomorrow.
There you go.
I want to say one thing though. Even though I'm a Rider fan, I am also a fan of the CFL because we have 8 teams in the league right now. And, you know, it's funny, I had an interaction with Nick Lewis on Twitter 2 years ago. And he said, well, what if I was to play with the Riders next year? I said, you know something? I said, I may not respect or, like the uniform that you're wearing, but I respect the player in it. And I think that for a lot of CFL fans, they realize that we're a small league and, there may come a day, well, who would have guessed that G. Roy Simon would be wearing the green and white?
True.
So we do respect the players that are in the league, and a lot of CFL fans and a lot of Rider fans respect players that are, in the entire league, because you've got to cheer for your team, but of course, you respect everybody.
Well, I have to say this, and I'm part of an Argo. We're in Section 134B. We're Argo lifers, and we have a couple of drums. We're the lunatics that TSN shows. And last year we had a little bit of a difference of opinion with the Saskatchewan fans, but this year they came and they mentioned to us they were really glad to see Toronto fans developing a fervor that really was non-existent in their minds, in the few fans that we talked to. So, yeah, it's the same thing. I respect all the fans across the country. The fact that I'm doing this program is based on the fact, and sometimes I get a little bit of a backlash from my group because I do reach out even at the games to the visitors section. But I think we're all beginning to understand that we're in this together. And, I always say the reason why I love the CFL isn't just because the Argos play in it, but it's because of all the Canadian cities. And there is no other sport that we as Canadians can call our own, and this is one of the sports. And it has a long and illustrious career. 101st Grey Cup is happening in Saskatchewan, and it's a great game, and all you have to do is show up at a game, and the price of tickets is reasonable. You can really get some decent entertainment. So, right now I feel as though I bought low because I bought, season tickets for the first time for the Argos in a very long time. And I feel very fortunate to be able to go to the games at the cost that I am going for. And I don't know if that sounds corny or crazy, but I truly believe that. And I really enjoy the games that I go to. And I love being Canadian. I love the Canadian game. Now, Belton. Now, let's talk about Saskatchewan this year after we talk about a couple of teams. Tell me about the East. Who do you see showing up at the Grey Cup and why from the East?
I would love to see Hamilton. I would love to, but right now it looks like it's a crapshoot over there in the East. Again, it's early in the season. I mean, 3 games in. Relax, but I would love to see Coach Austin back in the big show.
And that would be interesting for you, Scott.
Oh yeah.
Scott, who do you see as an early favorite coming to Saskatchewan for the Grey Cup?
From the East?
Yeah.
Well, I do have tremendous respect for Ken Austin because the Riders, have been in the league for, 100 years. And the fact that Ken Austin was a pivotal member of 2 of those 3 Grey Cup wins. I would love to see Hamilton simply because of the fact that, and this is going to kind of sound corny, but the fact that the Riders and the Tiger Cats have something in common is that for years the Riders were the lovable losers. You look at the 90s, right? And, the Ticats, have been struggling, for, the past few years. They've really shown flashes of brilliance from time to time. But here again, I think a lot of Rider fans do have kind of a kinship with the Tiger Cats, and nothing would make me happier than to see, other than a lot of fans don't like the fact that Henry Burris would be coming back. But a lot of Rider fans do have a kinship with Ticat fans, and I would love to see the Ticats coming to Regina in November.
Belton, anything to add to that? Is the tie? So you both believe the Ticats, and historically speaking, I think I've been to a couple of Grey Cup games last year, and I've been to two other ones, and one of them was in '89, and the subject of Hamilton and Saskatchewan comes up in that game. It was one of the best Grey Cup games ever. Very high scoring and two great offensive teams. The Grey Cup, the Saskatchewan won, in fact. So you've had good luck against Hamilton, guys. You first, Scott. Does that have anything to do with it? The fact that you've had success in the Grey Cup against Hamilton?
1989 is ancient history as far as Rider fans are concerned. Sure, we love the kick. We love Ridgway with Suter with the hold, and the hold. And we even had a Canada Post stamp over it, right? But that's ancient history. That's yesterday. We're looking forward to this year. This time, it's going to be in our backyard. We want it real bad, and I think there's a lot of Rider fans that would love the fact to see Saskatchewan and Hamilton playing in the Grey Cup. That would be just a dream come true.
And I wish you the best of luck in that one. Now, who do you see in the West that's going to be? What road are you going to have to take to get there? Will Calgary be, or will BC be the Western finalist? And do you see yourself as a favorite against one more than the other? I know it's early in the season.
See, that's the problem, because it's Labor Day when the pretenders become the contenders, and and the last few seasons, the Riders started out hot out of the gate. So there's a lot of fans that are really going, okay, this is our year, this is our year. There's a few of us like me who are going, okay, just wait. We're only heading into week 4. Just kind of calm down, just relax, cool your jets a little bit.
Thank you.
You were 4-0 last year, right?
And then we went into the big skid, and that was that. I mean, but the thing is, there's Rider fans who see there's the heavy green tint. And then there's the Rider fans like me who have just a light green tint on what's going on in the CFL. And I have a light green tint. And you know what? I'm waiting till after Labor Day because, like I said, that's when the pretenders come the contenders.
Okay, I guess we've beaten this dead horse. So at least I know which two teams you'd like to see in the final, which is it's more or less about who you think will be in, but who you hope will be in. Let's talk about the event itself. What's going to make the Grey Cup in Saskatchewan memorable?
Well, the fact is, the last time we had the Grey Cup here, it was just a week-long party, and I think because Saskatchewan fans are pretty, for the most part, I think pretty realistic and accepting rather. About this is an 8-team league. There are fans that are coming to Regina from across the country, and we understand that there's BC Lion fans, there's Eskimo fans, there's Argo fans. Everybody wants their team to be in the big show, and we just welcome everybody with open arms. And we're gonna have a great party. It doesn't matter who is in the Grey Cup, whether it's Saskatchewan and Hamilton or whether it's BC and Toronto. We're just going to have a great time in Regina.
Yeah, Belton, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. It's going. Sask is like, I don't know. I tell everybody down south, Mississippi, we call it, Southern hospitality, and here in Saskatchewan, I call it Northern hospitality because the fans and everybody, everybody's so welcoming, and that's nice to see and stuff. And the thing that I like too about Saskatchewan, they know how to put on a party. They know how to get things set up, and I'm ready for it. I see it. It's right down the road right now, so I know I'll be at every party there is.
Now, Saskatchewan is notorious for having a lot of fun. I understand one of the difficulties in going to Saskatchewan is the hotels are already booked. Scott, you talked about the tickets. The 45,000 tickets are already sold. I understand there's a new hotel. What is it? A Hilton that's being built, and they haven't taken any reservations yet. Do you know anything about that hotel? And is that the last hotel that's going to be able to bring in guests?
You know, I can't really speak to that, but I do know that they're already taking bookings in Moose Jaw, which is only, just over half an hour down the road. But we pulled it off in '97. I think we can pull it off again in 2013.
I think they're going to have to use the village system, too, around here.
Did you say the village system?
No, the billet.
The billet system. Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen, too, because I think some of the fans and people are going to maybe have to open up their homes. The city may even, ask people to, open up their homes and stuff, because 45, I don't know, everything is sold out. I've had a few people that have, asked me about hotels, like, because we have some of those as perk partners and things with the Rider alumni, and the hotel, Sask Hotel sold out, Ramada sold out, and I don't, where there's a will, there's a way. The people are gonna be able to get in here, but I think it's gonna end up where, people are gonna have to rent out a basement or a room or something like that.
See, and I got to add to that too, because I know exactly what you're saying. Because I used to live in Regina. I've relocated to just south of Saskatoon, but had the Grey Cup been there, we had a spare bedroom, and I would have been more than happy to if there was a billet system, and if there was Alouettes fans that wanted to come and and just hang out the week leading up or the couple days leading up to the Grey Cup, absolutely. We would have welcomed them into our home. We would have just talked football, because just for the love of the CFL.
And I think that's what Saskatchewan, that's what makes it so great here too, because I see that. I can see the fans, come on in. Don't matter, like you said, even if it's BC and whoever, I think the fans would open their homes up, and invite the people in.
It's that love of the game, and I really do believe, as intense as the Saskatchewan fans are, I really do think that they do respect all the other teams, and as you said, Scott, the players that play in the other cities as well. It's important. It's an important facet of Canadiana, if you will, and the personality of Canadians comes out. We talk about the 45,000 tickets that have been sold, and the game's been sold out. Let's not forget that doesn't stop out-of-towners coming, like you were alluding to, Scott. People who actually just go there to bask in the week-long festivities and as you both have said, the week-long party that'll take place. I mean, a lot of people are going to travel there, even sit in the bar or to watch the game on TV, but be in Saskatchewan.
There's going to be a lot of people who just, like you said, come for the party, come for the festivities, because it's funny because I see in other leagues and other sports where there's a lot of partisan cheering, and they will refuse to cheer for another team. And you know what? I think with the CFL being 8 teams and the rabid fan base that exists for the CFL, that you find it doesn't matter who ends up being in the Grey Cup. You're going to find a fan of one team cheering for another team. It's not like, oh, well, my team's done, I'm not gonna watch. Everybody watches anyway.
It has such a long history, and it has a history of cooperativeness, and as I guess, Scott, I'm going to start reaching back into our childhood again. The one thing that I think is clear, it really is, it brings the country together. I can't imagine, and people don't understand this, and I'm going to say something that you may not understand, folks. Leaf fans right now, they have Bell and Rogers. They both own the team, but for a different reason than when the CFL used to have the Grey Cup and the CBC used to have the first half one year and the second half the second year, and CTV would have the opposite halves. And it's that important to Canadians. The Grey Cup historically has been one of the biggest draws on television, and it doesn't surprise me that people want to go to the game. I think the Canadian Football League is probably so underrated. It boggles my mind how we go from 18,000 people on a Thursday night to watch two teams that could be in the Grey Cup. Sorry, guys, about Hamilton. Toronto and Saskatchewan, and 18,000 people show up to what happened at the Grey Cup last year here in Toronto specifically, and it'll happen even better in Saskatchewan. We're almost like a Jekyll and Hyde, don't you think, Scott?
Yeah, I do have to agree with you there. The bottom line remains too that as it's funny we're talking today when we find out that the Grey Cup is completely sold out. Exactly. And it is something that binds the nation together. And there's the thing that I find interesting is there's two different camps. There's, like, for example, last year when Calgary defeated Saskatchewan in the semifinal, I said, well, I have to cheer for the Stampeders now. And all my friends are like, oh, you have to cheer for the East. You have to, you can't cheer for Calgary. I mean, you can't cheer for BC. I'm like, you know what? I want to know my team got beat by the best. I don't want to know that my team got beat by the second best. I want to know my team got beat by the best. So that's why I got to cheer for the Stampeders. And it's just kind of one of those funny, almost chaotic tilting at windmills. You know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those funny things that CFL fans just kind of go, you know what, this is who I got to cheer for now.
Yeah, and it really doesn't matter why. The fact remains that the excitement at the game is there's nothing like being at a Grey Cup game. I've been to a couple, and it's just amazing. It truly is amazing, and as I said, it's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde. But you know what? This year is going to be fantastic, and I know we're only in the third week and talking about the Grey Cup in Saskatchewan, but I really did want to talk about Saskatchewan. And from week to week, just for the folks that are listening today, we are going to key on CFL teams hopefully from time to time and discuss those teams and try to get an insight into them. What else, Belton? Don't we know that we haven't mentioned about Saskatchewan and their football?
What we don't know.
Consider me a Torontonian who doesn't live in Saskatchewan, born and raised in Toronto. Have never been to a Saskatchewan game or soaked in the environment in Saskatchewan. What could you tell me about being a Saskatchewan football fan? Or player, for that matter.
It's passion, it's pride. Trust me, if I wear a Ticat jersey in that stadium Sunday, I might come out with a black and blue eye. So,
Scott, you have something? I'm sorry.
No, the fans are very passionate. I think when I went to the Calgary game, and the fans, the riders are up. The offense goes back out on the field, and the fans start doing the wave around the stadium. I think it went around 4 or 5 times. But the offense was at work on the field, and the fans went to sit down. But there was a few fans up in the stands like, what are you guys doing? Like arguing and yelling at a few of the people, the 30-some thousand that was doing the wave. And, trust me, I've seen fights almost break out in those stands, and it's crazy. It could be pandemonium up there sometimes.
Scott?
One thing that, Belton, you just touched on something that just a real sore point for me is the frickin' wave. I mean, that is so done. I mean, if you have to entertain yourself with the wave, have a little respect for the players on the field. I mean, watch the game. It doesn't matter if it's out of hand, but it's like I've gone to. But I mean, if have a look, watch the game. Watch. Okay, your defense is on the field. Your offense is on the field. Doesn't matter. pay attention to what's going on in the field. If you're kind of distracting yourself with a wave, come on, guys, really. I mean, you have a little respect for the players, and it doesn't really matter if the game's out of hand. You know what? Cheer on your second stringers if it's 40 to 12. Okay, cheer on your second stringers. Those guys are playing their hearts out. They want to be in the game. And the thing really, this whole wave thing, man, it's got me completely discombobulated. Just completely just.
You don't want to hear. You don't want to hear this. They were doing it at the Argo game on Thursday. They were doing the wave there too, and it wasn't making a very good move, but there was a sorrowful attempt to make it happen. I guess that's something. Now, when we talk about sports in Saskatchewan, hockey's big in Saskatchewan. In a few minutes, we'll talk about hockey for a few minutes. Belton, as an American, you talk about billets, and billets are notorious for Moose Jaw, Saskatoon, Regina, all the junior teams that are playing. It's not unusual, Scott, for billeting. That's something that they could do because they have a lot of experience doing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said before, it doesn't matter what team you're cheering for. Had it been down in Regina, now of course, I'm just south of Saskatoon, so it's a little more difficult. But had I still been living in Regina, doesn't matter if you're an Alouettes fan, if you're an Argos fan, if you're an Eskimos fan, if you're a Lions fan, you know what? You're a CFL fan, and I will welcome you into my home.
And that's an important thing. Belton, let's talk about some of the post-career stuff that you're doing. We talked earlier about the job that you have. Tell us about the alumni and what they're doing in Saskatchewan, please. How you're working in the community.
Oh, we got a lot of great things going on right now. We just had a golf tournament July the 8th at the Royal Regina Golf Club. We got another one coming up in Saskatoon September the 23rd. We also have a poker tournament coming up October 18th at Casino Regina. And we're going to kick off Grey Cup week. I think all the festivities start Thursday, Grey Cup week. But we're going to kick off Grey Cup week on a Wednesday night in Moose Jaw with a whiskey and wine festival at the Grant Hall. And they put in, about a $25 million renovation there. And we're going to put on our tuxedos, and it's going to be a great Gatsby theme. And, Moose Jaw has their history, with the tunnels, Al Capone. And so it's going to be a big event we're having. Plus, we have Ryderville there in the Queensbury Grey Cup week. So, and we just want to be great hosts and, the partners, I got 33 businesses under my belt, and, to me, that's my way of giving back to the community. If we can, raise those businesses and, to the public and, get alumni there doing different autograph signings and, just kind of showcase those businesses. And it's going great. It's going really good right now.
Well, I know it can't be that difficult to promote as players. You do carry a lot of cred, if you will, with the fans. I know they don't. I had the opportunity to interview Narcisse a little while back, and he's amazed at how he goes back there, and it's like it was just yesterday that he was playing.
Oh, I believe it, man. Trust me, I go into work. I feel like I'm still playing. No, seriously, a lot of my coworkers, they want the inside scoop, and I do have some of the guys over for barbecues and things, but to me, it's just, everyday chat or whatever. But to the fan who, a lot of the fans, you don't see the people, the guys out of their helmets and things. So, and when they see you, it's like, wow, like, that's you. And coworker was showing me some video of me in a game and stuff. I was like, wow, I gotta do some claims here. So let me get back to work.
Belton, you talked about having guys over for the barbecue. You have some Saskatchewan, and you were talking about some, and on the internet, somebody wanted me to know or ask you who are some of the Hamilton players that you'll be inviting to the barbecue on the weekend.
They're already invited. My boy Brian Simmons, he's the left tackle for the Ticats. Marwan will probably be coming. And JJ, Jamal Johnson, we're all good friends, and I just have a couple guys over, and Ray, he's a regular visit here to my house, Mr. Ray Williams, so he'll probably be coming, and maybe Carlos Thomas, and I try to keep a small number, but sometimes guys invite other guys, and so.
And do you have to bring in another barbecue? Because I can't imagine football players more than a few can eat off one barbecue.
And you're right about that, because that's why I told them I need to know the numbers before they even get here, because they get here Saturday afternoon. So I'm hoping that they have the numbers for me by Friday night, Friday evening or sometime. And the thing is, I got a barbecue I got to go to for the Riders. The Rider organization invited the Rider alumni to a post-practice barbecue Saturday. So I'm gonna have a good barbecue the whole Saturday, I guess, from noon to about 7, 8 o'clock at night, I guess.
Belton, that would be a bad thing if you invited a whole bunch of people and you invited a whole bunch of hoggies and you ran out of food. That would not be a good thing.
Trust me, that might be another. If you saw me limping or something, that would be.
So I hope you really enjoy it, and it's nice that you still carry those friendships with the players. You do kind of go to war together, and I don't think you can. I don't think there's a stronger bond than that.
That's the best part about football: the brotherhood, the friendships that you build. You could get cut, released, but it's that friendship with the guys that you make on the teams, and down to even right now, guys, we talk through the whole weekend things, and 10 years from now, we'll be talking about, oh, remember the 07 Grey Cup, or, that's the best part about football is the teammates and friendships you build.
Scott, I asked Belton earlier about the type of players that play in the CFL. I find them very approachable, and they don't seem to be the same kind of players that we might see. And I don't mean this is a knock on other sports or the NFL. I find the CFL players, maybe it's because of the cap that they have and the amount of money they get paid. These guys seem a lot more down to earth than a lot of other athletes. Is that just an imaginary thing that I've imagined, or is there any basis for that in your opinion?
Oh no, absolutely. You're bang on. I mean, like I've had interactions with players of both the Riders and other teams via Twitter, via Facebook, and even in person. And it's one of those things where I think this is one of the strengths of the CFL is the fact that they can have fans interact with the players. Like I was part of a little Twitter tiff. I don't know if it was planned but I was part of a little Twitter tiff between Tad Cornegay and Nick Lewis. And I was watching this develop, and I just kind of went, this is just one of the coolest things. And I would actually say something, and one of them would answer me. And like you try that with a member of the Green Bay Packers, you try that with a member of the Dallas Stars, going across the leagues, forget it. I mean, it's the fact that I think a lot of the men that come up to the CFL and they play in the CFL and they realize, the fans are really really into this, and it's not just a blindly cheering for your team. It's the fact that, you know, I can interact with Nick Lewis on Twitter, and to me as a fan, that is just one of the coolest things. When, holy crap, Nick Lewis responded to me on Twitter. Are you kidding me? It's just one of the best things ever.
Well, I get the odd Argo, you know, a lot of them that they say to me, Frank, when are you going to interview me? And I'm saying to myself, what? You're not supposed to ask me. I'm supposed to ask you. And they're just so down to earth, and you know, I've had and you know, Belton's talking about some of the events that they're having, and a lot of the charitable functions that the Argos participate in. Because of the group I'm with, the Argo Lifers, we also tag along, if you will, as much to be with the Argo players because we love them so much, and to help in the community, like some activities that we've taken with Habitat and you know, Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto. And the boys are really good about participating, and you can tell they're very genuine about enjoying the moment. You know, it's not just about them showing up; it's how much they seem to really genuinely enjoy the moment with the fans, and for that I'm eternally grateful, and that's something I'll never forget as far as the CFL and the CFL players are concerned. And again, not just the Argo players, every CFL. In fact, there was a Tie-Cat there at this event. It's an Argo event. And there's a Tie-Cat there, too. Actually, Tristan Thomas came to the Habitat for Humanity, and he's with Saskatchewan now. So, yeah, there's a loyalty to the community that the CFL has that isn't present in a lot of other leagues, or at least given with such freedom. And that makes me proud to be a CFL fan as well. Thank you, sir. Scott Nicholls, 102 FM in Saskatoon. We'll be tuning into you on the Internet, and it's been a pleasure talking to you and sharing your experience as a Saskatchewan resident. Thank you, sir.
Glad to do it. Anytime, my friend.
Talk to you again. Thank you for tuning in. You've listened to Candid Frank Live here on Rouge Radio. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.